Good news, everyone. Evil Genius Zero here, bringing you another couch conversation about Lost. So, this is going to be covering episodes 17 and 18. Those are in translation, like dot 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 in translation. So, Lost in translation and numbers. The episodes in translation focuses on Jin and then numbers on Hurley. Um, and one thing I like that they're starting to do a little bit more in these flashbacks is that they definitely tend to focus on that character in both the current story and the backstory. So the episode really focuses on Jin, and he's going through this thing where he's seeing Sun try to like wear a bathing suit, and she and there's like that growing attraction between her and Michael, and he sees this and he's jealous of it, and she says his name Michael a couple of times, and he's like, Michael, ooh. It also shows us some more stuff about the past, deflating my hopes and dreams about the horrible things that Sun's father makes Jin do for money. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sure you're disappointed as well, but we know that now he's some sort of shady businessman using intimidation tactics, and it's not super creepy, unfortunately. It's just awful and banal, but or whatever. I'm sorry. It's I'm sure it's a tragic hit for you guys as well. We now see there is something that happens here, and I'm going to assume that it's a continuity error. In Sun's story, he gives her the dog as a puppy, and and it implies that everything happened over a longer period, right? Whereas, because she has the puppy and then she has like a full size dog. Whereas in this, he gets the full size dog and gives that, with the implication that he gives that to her. The dog was like a gift slash bribe thing for not beating a guy up in his own home. And yeah. So I don't know if it was like, I'm assuming it's a continuity error in reality, but I would love to think that it's really just like their stories don't quite match up because people's memories don't really match up. If you ever get into an argument about something that happened in the past with somebody, you're both most likely wrong because your memory is actually an active process. So when you remember things, you're also rewriting them. It's not like you're just replaying a tape. You're also re-recording over that tape a little bit with your current thoughts and, reinterpretation of those events, right? And so as that happens, your memories start to diverge from the truth. Although it happens really quickly, and people's perception upon reality also plays a lot into that too, right? Going way too deep into the psychology of that, but I just think it's a cool idea that it's probably a continuity error, but it would be cool if this was actually the case. And I'm going to keep an eye out for that in the future because I'm definitely noticing that Lost is very smart about a lot of things. Like, for instance, the numbers, right? The numbers are actually seeded throughout the series, right? Like the number of the plane, Jack's number. I think there was a number with Kate early on too, but I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. The numbers are a big part of Lost mythology, and I'm sure that at some point I will talk about them again in the future, and their implications, and maybe even a whole video about them. I do think the numbers are really cool, but we don't know really enough about them. It's just Hurley's winning lottery numbers, and we know at the end of the episode that they're on the hatch as well. Really interesting stuff. And you know what? They were also the numbers that drew Rousseau to the island because they heard the radio transmission that was broadcasting the numbers. And actually, they re-recorded over that same broadcasting stuff to put out the current distress signal. So, cool stuff. I want to go back to In Translation for a second and talk about, you know, the arc that goes on. A couple of things. Like, we know that Walt set fire to the raft, that Locke knows this, and he's covering for Walt in this matter. And we kind of, at least I understand it and somewhat appreciate that. I think that, Locke seems like a really smart dude, probably one of the wisest people on the island, and I really enjoy, his perspective on a lot of things. I get why he did that. It's a little weird that he blamed the other people on the island that they don't know about yet. Like they don't know who they are or whatever. It's it's okay. It's fine that he did that. I guess it drew everyone together, but it didn't. It also didn't seem necessary per se. Another cool Locke being wise moment happens at the end of a thread, involving that bitch Shannon, Boone, and Sayid. Sayid goes to talk to Boone basically because he doesn't want to make an enemy out of him by trying to hook up with Shannon. But what Boone says kind of gets into Sayid's head a little bit, and he kind of lets that affect how he is with Shannon when she basically asks him for a favor later. And then she gets mad about it and goes to confront Boone, but can't find him. Finds Locke. Locke's like, "Yo, what do you care what Boone thinks? What does it have to do with you if your brother doesn't like this guy, or does like this guy, or whatever it is?" So he kind of gets to the heart of that matter really quickly and easily. Like, they're both adults; they can both do whatever the fuck they want. The problem, I think, he probably doesn't suspect that Shannon and Boone have fucked in the last month. And I don't know, man. I really do think that, Boone's assessment of Shannon is maybe not fair, maybe not fully accurate, but close enough. He gets the spirit of her. So, fuck Shannon and kind of fuck Boone for chasing after her. Although, guys, you can probably tell I've been there. So, is what it is. Oh, Sun. So, Sun and Jin, their relationship is really different than something we typically see. It, from my perspective, seems quite abusive, in an emotional level, if not physical. Although, there's definitely the threat that it will become, physically violent at any point, really. Like, she kind of, pulls up on him a lot. She did hit him once or twice in the series so far. Seems to, withdraw from him a little bit whenever he seems to get upset. So there is, the implication that this could become violent at some point. And you don't see that often in anything, really. Like, domestic abuse, while relatively common in the world, is not necessarily common in media. And certainly not portrayed in the fairly strange and somewhat positive way that their relationship has been portrayed a little bit. Like, it's very positive. Well, I guess it is portrayed positively in the beginning in most, after school specials and shit like that, but who knows. The other thing that I like about their story is that we learn in this episode something very interesting about Jin, in that he has been lying to her for the entire relationship, and yet he can't forgive her for lying to him. Although, there was a little bit more in the implication of she was going to leave him, but he was thinking about leaving with her, and making some sort of vague plans to do that. So, I don't know. It's a neat little twist. It's kind of like the old parable or fable or whatever about the guy who sells his watch to buy a comb for his wife, and she sells her hair to buy a watch band for his watch. They're both doing kind of the opposite thing to help the other or whatever, and it's interesting. But he can't forgive her, despite the fact that he's been lying to her this whole time. And I get it. That actually feels very true to life to me, and I like that element that they've put into the show. Numbers, very very focused on Hurley. Um, we learn that he both won the lottery and also had been in a mental institution for some period of time. He has a couple of really cool scenes after he kind of starts to think of himself as like a walking disaster, um, and like you just feel bad for him. Like he loves his grandpa, but his grandpa dies. He loves his mom and he tries to help her out, and he ends up kind of causing her to break her ankle, and like by accident or whatever. Like, but she has this accident kind of because of him, blocking off her face, and she trips on a curb and breaks her ankle, and then while he's trying to help her with that, he sees that the house is burning down, and then he gets falsely arrested for looking like a drug dealer or whatever. Okay, whatever. I don't know. Not a big problem. That little bit, although certainly possible at the time and certainly is now. We kind of seem to know more about that kind of stuff happening now. It just felt a little tacked on and somewhat unnecessary. But okay, I mean, sure, stuff happens. He all he really wants, and he's not really asking for it, but all he really wants is to be acknowledged. You know what I mean? Not that not his acknowledge, not an acknowledgement per se of him or his achievements or accomplishments or anything like that, but just that what he's seeing is not like other people see it too, and if you've ever been in a situation where like you're feeling like somebody is denying the truth around you so much, people call it gaslighting or whatever. If you're ever around that and you've ever felt that way, that somebody's just denying your perspective so hard that it's your own, you start to doubt your own perspective. The sense of relief when somebody acknowledges your perspective on that topic is so profound. And it's really cool that they were able to kind of bring that in and encapsulate it in this story. And, Hurley, Hugo, whatever you want to call him, he seems like I really like his character. I'm so glad that we finally have an episode for all of the main characters. We want to know a lot more about everybody. We've gotten 2 for Kate, we've gotten 2 for Jack, we've gotten 2 for Charlie, we've gotten 2 for, what the fuck's his name? Sawyer. Of those, you want to know a lot about all these people, don't get me wrong, but Jax felt kind of unnecessary to me. They could have tacked that on with 1 or 2 scenes onto his previous episode and you would have totally understood it, right? In fact, you might have understood it better. One thing that I really do like before I end the video here, is that I haven't talked about it previously, but I have noticed, and I found a good example of it in the first of these 2 episodes. In translation, they actually have a shot of Hurley on TV. We're starting to really or at least I'm starting to really take notice of that these characters interacted in ways before the island, and they might not necessarily have been aware of it, but they were in each other's story the whole time. Jack and Jack's dad and Sawyer. We also saw Sawyer interacting, getting arrested or something in Boone's back tail. So Jin and Jack see each other in the airport, but that's okay, whatever. That they were all in the airport. I don't know. It's just neat that they're threading the past too in this these interactions. So I hope you guys are also really liking these videos, and I hope that you're liking the new video clips and video captures that I'm able to do in these videos, and I hope they're adding to this. If Let me know how you guys feel about that, if they're distracting or if you like them. If I'm using them too much or something like that, feel free. Drop a line. You can drop a line in the comments or on Facebook at Evil Genius Zero. All right, if you like the video, please like it, share it with your friends. Have your own little book TV club thing going on with me. And I will catch you on the island next Tuesday.